Yeah, I know we've been in here a few times and we've been hyping up the Missouri Gans Classic, both myself and Gannon you had the pleasure of listening to, and it lived up to the hype. Between your top individual finishers on the men's and women's side, I believe on the men's side there were 14 under the previous course best, which shows you not just from a top level individual standpoint, but from a depth standpoint. For us personally, we had 4 times in our top 6 all time, and then on the ladies' side, Kat Sol was in the top 10. So for us personally, fast times as well. From a team competition standpoint, you had some nationally ranked teams. I believe Stanford's moved up since that result, so clearly it was an impressive result that the nation took note of. And so just to be in that sort of field was a great experience for our student athletes, especially when Coach Gannon was talking about what a great meet this is, what a great course it is, and I think probably people agree. It's probably gotten a little bit more respect after this meet from a nationwide attendance, and next year is going to be even better when they host nationals. And so for us, it was a good meet, a good experience. To give you guys a little more scope, Stanford had an Olympian from this previous Olympics, Paris 2024, in the B race. You know, when someone's not an Olympian coming back and's in the B race, probably gives you a good idea on what caliber field we're talking about. So for us to go out there and compete with the best, it was a great experience. And ultimately, through all these races at this point in the season, we're wanting to learn about ourselves. And so what we learned is we're pretty close. We're pretty close to where we want to be. We've just got to refine a couple of things. I think looking overall and what those things are, first K, last K. And I think that's probably pretty expected. We knew it was going to get out hot. The men's race maybe went out just a little bit slower, and I think we were maybe a little bit slow to respond to that. So what happened is we got a little stuck. Our men came through the 1,000 meter mark and maybe the 110s, 120s. We probably need to be 20, 40 spots up, which sounds like a lot. That's the difference of about a second and a half because it was so densely packed. The women, the same thing, just we're kind of looking for Goldilocks right now. Not too fast, not too slow, right in the middle, and we were just a second or two off, which is very manageable for us to fix. We're going to work on that throughout workouts, but overall, solid meet for us, gives us, you know, some great experience, race against some teams we haven't. I know the Statman Rob, he had us covered beating some regionally ranked teams, and so that was pretty awesome to see as well on what we're doing. I think to encapsulate the day, Coach Gannon and I, we spoke, and to summarize it, it was a great day for raising the floor. Not maybe the greatest day for raising the ceiling, but that's what the championship season's all about.
Great questions. Yeah, for Marcos and Jake in particular to finish as well as they did despite a slow start, how did they do that?
Yeah, I mean, so kind of from a tactical standpoint, they were very similar in how they got out. I think Marcos probably progressed a little bit through the middle parts, which is certainly for something that Jake can kind of in the future go with and aim for that. And for our rest of our guys in that top 6, we've talked about how they're very interchangeable, and so just kind of getting them a little bit more together throughout the race. But, you know, Marcos was a little bit further ahead with 7K, and he probably paid the price with that K. He was a little slower. I think he lost 1 spot, which is still a good place to be. Losing only 1, it showed that he was riding that line. And Jake, on the other hand, he took 17, 18 people that last K. And so even though they were finished very similarly, they kind of went different ways. And I think that's probably says a little bit about them as athletes. Marcos is definitely more, he's a steepler, he's good at the 5K, the 10K. Whereas Jake, he missed a little bit of last cross-country seasons we've talked about, and he's more of a mid-distance specialist. So using that closing speed. But if you were asking any of our athletes, not just Marcos and Jake, but there was a lot of camaraderie. Hey, run with me, let's go, let's work together. I think that was really awesome, and so if we can keep that together in these future races, we're going to be in a good spot. So yeah, slightly different ways of getting there, but we're working well as a team, which is really what you want to see at this point in the season.
You guys have a few weeks off before you're back at a meet. What do you do with 3 weeks? 3 weeks between meets.
Yeah, so the next time we're competing is the 18th of October. We're at home, so absolutely come out. And so this is just a great training block for us. So everything I've talked about from Gaines Creek, we've kind of got to take a bigger, larger perspective, and this is a week earlier than we're typically used to. So the fact that we're running these fast times, I mean, I mentioned 4 top times in the men's side. Well, 2 of them were under the previous school best. So the fact that we're in that spot right now and it's a week earlier, really good place to be. And again, slight improvements to make. So now this is really important. I would probably consider this the most two important training block. Obviously, the most important weeks are going to be those championship weeks. But for us right now, really important training week. So we're into the beginning of the 2-week training block. Had a great two-day block, Monday, Tuesday. Today's a little bit of a recovery day. Thursday, it's October, but it's still roasty toasty. So we're going to do what we can. The entire Midwest is kind of dealing with the same thing. And then Saturday, be back at it. And then follow that into another great week of training. We are going to slightly differentiate it between week 3. So those top 6 guys, they pretty much earned their spot. We were taking 10 to the conference meet. Even if someone just didn't have a good day, they're probably in. And so we're really trying to figure out on the men's side, that's 7 through 10. On the ladies' side, probably the back half as well, kind of figuring out what those spots are. And so that 3rd week, those men can train a little bit more aggressively than we're typically used to heading into the home meet. Same with the ladies, the top ladies, whereas that other group, it wouldn't be fair to send them out and they're hurting or from a race tactic standpoint, just make it a jog and a sit and kick. Like, we want to send our best to the conference meet. And so set them up the best for success, a little bit of tapering, and that'll be the key to success on both ends.
Got time for one more. You mentioned you raised the floor but not the ceiling. And if I'm wrong, are you surprised by the fact that you didn't raise your ceiling? Were you hoping to, or I guess what's the thought behind that?
Yeah, I mean, if you've listened to us before, that's kind of how we measure a lot of our progress, as opposed to a time or a place. And so when I spoke to the guys, I said, hey, I think we can finish anywhere from 15th to 20th. There were 2 teams that didn't show up, so it was probably 13th through 18, and we were right on that 18th spot. So for us, hey, it's a good day. We're beating those regionally ranked teams. That's good. Now, for us to take the next step, we're beating those teams who are going to be in that top 15 at the regional mark. That's where, hey, other programs are making a little bit of notice. And so we're just like maybe 20 spots off per person. And I think on the ladies' side, you add in those people healthy, and absolutely they're going to raise the ceiling.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you.